Now, all week long, everybody in the office had been so nice to me. And this Friday morning, nobody's talking to me. And I'm thinking, oh man, I didn't get it. I didn't get it. And everybody's too embarrassed to look me in the eye now. And then so lunch comes along and, Louis says, Lou, I need to see you in my office. And I think, okay, they're dropping the boom. This is it. This is the thank you. But, so I go in and Julie Lowry's there and Danny Valdez and Taylor Hackford. And Louis sits me down, pulls a chair over close to me, like he's my uncle or something. And he goes, Lou, how would you like to play Ritchie Valens? I'm like, and so then they took me to lunch, then took me straight to the airport because I had to go home and pack, I packed for 4 days. And so I had to go back to Texas and pack up for, a 6-week shoot. So, it was
changed
crazy,
your life, changed your freaking life.
Changed my life, the whole trajectory of my career. So
I mean,
that's why I never, ever feel put upon when somebody wants to talk about La Bamba or they want me to sign whatever, or they yell, from across the street. I will always be grateful for that film.
Man, the first thing that comes to mind is, because I'm kind of a nostalgic guy, is like your parents when they're sitting in that theater and they watch their son playing Ritchie Valens. Do you remember their faces or the way they responded?
It's funny. My parents were divorced at that point, and my dad must have driven 20 miles. He was in Mexico, like way up in the mountains, like Tegucigalpa or something. He had to drive back down into the city to get to a movie theater, but he did it, And he called me long distance, and he was over the moon about it. My mother's hilarious, man. I mean, I don't know if it's a Filipino thing or whatever. I could win the Nobel Prize, and my mom would go, pretty good.
Pretty good.
That's the extent of the praise I get from my mom.
Oh my
you watch
God.
the movie, you go, pretty good.
Are your parents still with you?
Oh yeah, I got them both.
How old are they?
They're in their early 80s. They were young. When I came along.
Wow. And let me get, maybe I'm wrong, but didn't you do Stand and Deliver before that?
No,
Or
no. Eddie is kind of flipped the timeline every once in a while. I did La Bamba. I got paid scale.
Scale. What was scale back then?
Like 1,100 a week
for 6 weeks.
Yeah, so I made like $6,500, and I gave half of that to my mother. Just like Ritchie would have. And so now I got $3,500, $3,000 left. By December, I'm out of money. I think I'm gonna have to go back to Texas. I'm splitting rent with 4 people in LA, by the way. And in the nick of time, I book a Miami Vice. Okay. I make in 1 week because I'm the guest star. I make in 1 week on Miami Vice what I made the entire shoot for La Bamba, and the funny thing is that episode, which is called Red Tape, also starred Viggo Mortensen as my partner.
Wow.
And Annette Bening as the girlfriend of the bad guy.
Come on.
No, it's the truth.
Yeah, that's amazing how you do this huge movie. It's a blockbuster, and you got paid scale, and now you're just trying to pay rent, and you land a Miami Vice thing, and it keeps you going.
And so, but here's the thing. I do one scene with Eddie Olmos. Now, Eddie Olmos had done Zoot Suit with Luis and Danny Valdez, right? So the reason I didn't get a gig until Miami Vice was that I was an unknown kid from Texas playing an obscure Mexican-American rock and roller in a negative pickup from Colombia. It did not have hit written all over it, okay? So nobody was getting ready to give me another lead role. And so now I get to Miami Vice. Eddie knows what's what, that, oh, you're the kid who played Ritchie. Okay. And we did one scene together. And Eddie says to me, what are you doing next month? This was January of '87. and La Bamba doesn't come out until August.
Ah.
I said, I'm not doing anything. You want to have lunch? And he writes down a number. And then he goes, when you get back to LA, call this number. And it was Ramon Menendez, the director of Stand and Deliver. And Eddie said, I'm doing this movie next month. Yeah, you have to be in it with me. And that's how I got Stand and Deliver.
I mean, if you don't do Miami Vice, you don't do no
I
Stand
probably
and
don't
Deliver.
get Stand and Deliver. And see, that's just it, man. We talk about, training for the business, but right place at the right time. You have to have, all of the preparation in the world for when that, luck, intersects with all the work you've done.
Yeah, and how long after La Bamba, when that came out, how did that work? What timeline was that? When did that come out?
The following year. So La Bamba comes out in '87. Stand and Deliver was actually an independent film, so it did not have distribution.
And you didn't get paid much on that either.
Scale. And probably less than La Bamba because it was a faster shoot.
Wow.
So, yeah.